Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, and we do mean daily. This is going on every day. By the grace of the Vaishnavas, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, we are keeping up this daily readings, and we're getting feedback from devotees that it's good. So we hope that you are all well and happy and safe. And yes, let's get into it. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami describes the Bhagavatam, glorifies the Bhagavatam in a very wonderful way. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Purāṇa Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho Kali Dvando Ditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Mannistadaka Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy. I bow down to you. Asadhu sadhuta dayin atini chochata kada hanamuncha kadachen mam premna rit kanta yukspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we reach the 14th chapter of the third canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, pregnancy of Diti. So Diti is learned of the unfavorable consequences of her pregnancy because it was at an inauspicious time that the children were conceived. And now she is lamenting. We're starting on text 42. Diti said, "It is very good that my sons will be magnanimously killed by the arms of the personality of Godhead with his Sudarshan weapon. O my husband, may they never be killed by the wrath of the Brahmana devotees." Purport. When Diti heard from her husband that the great souls would be angered by the activities of her sons, she was very anxious. She thought that her sons might be killed by the wrath of the Brahmanas. The Lord does not appear when the Brahmanas become angry at someone, because the wrath of a Brahmana is sufficient in itself. He certainly appears, however, when his devotee simply becomes sorry. A devotee of the Lord never prays to the Lord to appear for the sake of removing the troubles the miscreants cause for him, and he never bothers him by asking for protection. Rather, the Lord is anxious to give protection to the devotees. Diti knew well that the killing of her sons by the Lord would also be his mercy, and therefore she says that the wheel and arms of the Lord are magnanimous. If someone is killed by the wheel of the Lord and is thus fortunate enough to see the arms of the Lord, that is sufficient for his liberation. Such good fortune is not achieved even by the great sages. Text 43. A person who is condemned by a Brahmana or is always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he was born. Purport. A practical example of the condemned species of life is the dog. Dogs are so condemned that they never show any sympathy to other dogs. Text 44 and 45. The learned Kashyapa said, "Because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons, Prahlad, of your son, Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the Personality of Godhead." Text 46. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying processes rectify gold of inferior quality. Purport. Yoga practice, the process of purifying one's existential identity, is based mainly on self-control. Without self-control, one cannot practice freedom from animosity. In the conditioned state, every living being is envious of another living being. But in the liberated state, there is an absence of animosity. Prahlad Maharaj was tortured by his father in so many ways. Yet after the death of his father, he prayed for his father's liberation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not ask any benediction that he might have asked, but he prayed that his atheistic father might be liberated. He never cursed any of the persons who engaged in torturing him at the instigation of his father. Text 47. Everyone will be pleased with him because the Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller of the universe, is always satisfied with a devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated everywhere as the Supersoul, and he can dictate to anyone and everyone as he likes. The future grandson of Diti, who was predicted to be a great devotee, would be liked by everyone, even by the enemies of his father, because he would have no other vision besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee of the Lord sees the presence of his worshipable Lord everywhere. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as the Supersoul, also like a pure devotee. I'll read that again. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as the Supersoul, also like a pure devotee, because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotee. I'll read that again. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling, as the Supersoul also, like a pure devotee, because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotee. There are many instances in history wherein even the most ferocious animal became friendly to a pure devotee of the Lord. Text 48. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence, and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to matured devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. Purport. There are 3 stages of transcendental development in devotional service, which are technically called Sthāyi Bhava, Anubhava, and Mahabhava. Continuous perfect love of Godhead is called Sthāyi Bhava, and when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it is called Anubhava. But the stage of Mahabhava is visible amongst the personal pleasure potencies of the Lord. It is understood that the grandson of Diti, namely Prahlad Maharaj, would constantly meditate on the Lord and recount his activities. Because he would constantly remain in meditation, he would easily transfer himself to the spiritual world after quitting his material body. Such meditation is still more conveniently performed by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord. This is especially recommended in this age of Kali. Text 49. He will be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy to see others' happiness, distressed to see others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, just like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj, the exemplary devotee of the Lord, had all the good qualities humanly possible. Although he was the emperor of this world, he was not profligate. Beginning from his childhood, he was the reservoir of all good qualities. Without enumerating those qualities, the present verse summarily says that he was endowed with all good qualities. That is the sign of a pure devotee. The most important characteristic of a pure devotee is that he is not lampata, or licentious. And another quality is that he is always eager to mitigate the miseries of suffering humanity. The most obnoxious misery of a living entity is his forgetfulness of Krishna. A pure devotee, therefore, always tries to evoke everyone's Krishna consciousness. This is the panacea for all miseries. Text 50. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is the beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. Purport. It is predicted herewith that the grandson of Diti, Prahlad Maharaj, would not only see the personality of Godhead within himself by meditation, but would also be able to see him personally with his eyes. This direct vision is possible only for one who is highly elevated in Krishna consciousness. For it is not possible to see the Lord with material eyes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has multifarious eternal forms, such as Krishna, Baladev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Narayana, Rama, Nishinga, Varaha, and Vamana. And the devotee of the Lord knows all those Vishnu forms. A pure devotee becomes attached to one of the eternal forms of the Lord, and the Lord is pleased to appear before him in the form desired. A devotee does not imagine something whimsical about the form of the Lord, nor does he ever think that the Lord is impersonal and assumes the form desired by the non-devotee. The non-devotee has no idea of the form of the Lord, and thus he cannot think of any of the above-mentioned forms. But whenever a devotee sees the Lord, he sees him in a most beautifully decorated form, accompanied by his constant companion, the goddess of fortune, who is eternally beautiful. Text 51. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind. Purport. Diti was very aggrieved to learn that because of her untimely pregnancy, her sons would be demons and would fight with the Lord. But when she heard that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her 2 sons would be killed by the Lord, she was very satisfied. As the wife of a great sage and the daughter of a great Prajapati, Daksha, she knew that being killed by the personality of Godhead is a great fortune. Since the Lord is absolute, his acts of violence and non-violence are both on the absolute platform. There is no difference in such acts of the Lord. Mundane violence and non-violence have nothing to do with the Lord's acts. A demon killed by him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many, many births of penance and austerity. The word brisham is significant herein because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectations. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 14th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All glories to Diti's repentance. And all glories to Sri Prahlad Maharaj, the grandson of Diti in Kashyapa. Hare Krishna. Now we move on to the 15th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, Description of the Kingdom of God. Sri Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kashyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to the demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others, for 100 years. Purport. The great sage Sri Maitreya was explaining to Vidura the activities of the demigods, including Lord Brahma. When Diti heard from her husband that the sons she bore within her abdomen would be causes of disturbances to the demigods, she was not very happy. There are two classes of men, devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees are called demons, and devotees are called demigods. No sane man or woman can tolerate the non-devotees giving trouble to devotees. Diti, therefore, was reluctant to give birth to her babies. She waited for 100 years so that at least she could save the demigods from the disturbance for that period. Text 2. By the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the light of the sun and moon was impaired in all the planets, and the demigods of various planets, being disturbed by that force, asked the creator of the universe, Brahma, "What is this expansion of darkness in all directions?" Purport. It appears from this verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that the sun is the source of light for all the planets in the universe. The modern scientific theory, which states that there are many suns in each universe, is not supported by this verse. It is understood that in each universe there is only one sun, which supplies light to all the planets. In Bhagavad Gita, the moon is also stated to be one of the stars. There are many stars, and when we see them glittering at night, we can understand that they are reflectors of light. Just as moonlight is a reflection of sunlight, all other planets also reflect sunlight. And there are many other planets which cannot be seen by our naked eyes. The demoniac influence of the sons of the womb of Diti expanded darkness throughout the universe. Text 3. The fortunate demigod said, "O Great One, just see this darkness, which you know very well, and which is causing us anxieties. Because the influence of time cannot touch you, there is nothing unmanifest before you." Purport. Brahma is addressed herein as Vibhu, and as the personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead's incarnation of the mode of passion in the material world. He is non-different in the representative sense from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore the influence of time cannot affect him. The influence of time, which manifests as past, present, and future, cannot touch higher personalities like Brahma and other demigods. Sometimes demigods and great sages who have attained such perfection are called Trikalagya. Text 4. O God of the demigods, sustainer of the universe, head jewel of the demigods and other planets, you know the intentions of all living entities in both the spiritual and material worlds. Purport. Because Brahma is almost on an equal footing with the personality of Godhead, he is addressed here as the God of the demigods. And because he is the secondary creator of this universe, he is addressed as the sustainer of the universe. He is the head of all the demigods, and therefore he is addressed here as the head jewel of the demigods. It is not difficult for him to understand everything which is happening in both the spiritual and material worlds. He knows everyone's heart and everyone's intentions. Therefore, he was requested to explain this incident. Why was the pregnancy of Diti causing such anxieties all over the universe? Text 5. O original source of strength and scientific knowledge, all obeisances unto you. You have accepted the differentiated mode of passion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, you are born of the unmanifested source. All obeisances unto you. Purport. The Vedas are the original scientific knowledge for all departments of understanding, and this knowledge of the Vedas was first impregnated into the heart of Brahma by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Brahma is the original source of all scientific knowledge. He is born directly from the transcendental body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who was never seen by any creature of this material universe, and therefore always remains unmanifested. Brahma is stated here to be born of the unmanifested. He is the incarnation of the mode of passion in material nature, which is the separated external energy of the Supreme Lord. Text 6. O Lord, all these planets exist within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. Text 7. There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process and who are therefore experienced, mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga they have attained your mercy. Purport. The purpose of yogic performances is explained here. It is said that an experienced mystic attains full control of the senses and the mind by controlling the breathing process. Therefore, controlling the breathing process is not the ultimate aim of yoga. The real purpose of yogic performances is to control the mind and the senses. Anyone who has such control is to be understood to be an experienced, mature mystic yogi. It is understood herein that a yogi who has control over the mind and senses has the actual benediction of the Lord, and he has no fear. In other words, one cannot attain the mercy and benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and the senses. This is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. A person whose senses and mind are always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord has no possibility of engaging in material activities. The devotees of the Lord are not defeated anywhere in the universe. It is stated, Narayana padak sarve na kutaschana bibyati. One who is Narayana para, or a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not afraid anywhere, whether he is sent to hell or promoted to heaven. Bhagavatam 6:17, 28. Text 8. All the living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions, as a bull is directed by the rope attached to its nose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures. To the chief person who has contributed the Vedas, we offer our respect. Purport. The Vedic literatures are the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot violate the injunctions given in the Vedic literatures any more than one can violate the state laws. Any living creature who wants real benefit in life must act according to the direction of the Vedic literature. The conditioned souls who have come to this material world for material sense gratification are regulated by the injunctions of the Vedic literature. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little. But one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. Those conditioned souls who have come to this material world should utilize their senses according to the direction of the Vedic literature. Otherwise, they will be put into a more miserable condition of life. No human being or demigod can enact laws like those of the Vedic literature, because the Vedic regulations are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. Text 9. The demigods prayed to Brahma, "Please look upon us mercifully, for we have fallen into a miserable condition. Because of the darkness, all our work has been suspended." Purport. Because of the complete darkness throughout the universe, the regular activities and engagements of all the different planets were completely suspended. In the north and south poles of this planet, there are sometimes no divisions of day and night. Similarly, when the sunlight does not approach the different planets within the universe, there is no distinction between day and night. Text 10. As fuel overloads a fire, so the embryo created by the semen of Kashyapa in the womb of Diti has caused complete darkness throughout the universe. Purport. The darkness throughout the universe is explained herewith as being caused by the embryo created in the womb of Diti by the semen of Kashyapa. And that is 7:55. We'll stop here. And Hare Krishna. We'll start tomorrow. Maitreya is going to continue this narration tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. So we'll start at text 11 tomorrow. And in the meantime, please, let us hear the reflections of those who are with us tonight, the loyal daily hearers of Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna.
First is from Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Yes, Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with his matchless purports. Jai Ho.
Jai, all glories to the Bhaktivedanta purports. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
She says, Jai Guru Maharaj, back to the oasis.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
And from Anandamurti Devi Dasi.
Yes, Anandamurti.
Dear Guru Maharaj and all assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for today's readings. I felt how the devotees are being protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the one mistake, the Lord gives that person the ultimate good result. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, and thank you. That's very true. The Lord is very merciful, and He's the supreme forgiver. And even when He kills the demons, that is Krishna Himself, sometimes, well, only Krishna Himself gives liberation when He kills the demons. The others get liberation from being killed by the other expansions of Krishna. But yes, He is the supreme forgiver, so whoever He kills gets liberation or his original position in the spiritual world. nobody can match that level of forgiveness and that level of compassion. The Supreme Compassionate Being. It's amazing, huh? How just that the inauspiciousness, of that pregnancy is causing such a disturbance all over the universe. Of course, this is a very special demon, as we will find out later, and we all know the story, basically, that these are actual servants of the Lord from Vaikuntha who are coming to act as his enemies for 3 births before they can return to the kingdom of God. Still, it's, and plus they were the first demons to appear in the universe. So therefore, the universe was very sensitive. First they were very powerful. Second of all, they were the first ones, of such significance, and therefore the whole universe was affected. I mean, we can see little tiny reflections of this even in our daily life when a person becomes particularly, antagonistic towards others, that he can create a disturbance in the whole world. It is by the nature of this material world and how it acts under the directions of the Lord that these kinds of events can happen. So, all the more reason to take shelter of the Lord in favorable devotional service. We may make an argument that the demons are giving, Krishna some kind of pleasure by sporting with him or by fighting with him because he has that proclivity in himself. That's why we have it, because he has it. But it's not favorable devotional service, and therefore we should learn by the activities of these demoniac persons what not to do. And therefore everything in the Bhagavatam is indicative of and points to pure devotional service. Hare Krishna.
From Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Tonight I loved hearing how it is that the pure devotee is treated well by everyone, because the super soul in the heart of everyone dictates to the persons to like the pure devotee. What a nice personal arrangement.
Yes, what an arrangement. Anyway, there were some different incidences we were talking about today from different devotees, and it was very interesting how devotees were coming to the same conclusion about something, and you could see Krishna in the heart of the devotees making the arrangements, even if we're not conscious of it. Krishna's there in the heart, and he's actually making all the arrangements. So no one is independent of Krishna, no one, either in the material or the spiritual worlds. Everyone is eternally connected with Krishna. But we are forgetful of him or of that fact here in this material world, and that is our misfortune. Hare Krishna. So if we remember him, then we automatically become fortunate. That's it. I was just talking with Abai today, and we were discussing, we were reading Krishna book together, and we heard about Manigriva and Nalakuvara, and how they were cursed by Narada because they were so intoxicated. They didn't cover their bodies when Narada Muni walked by. And Anyway, at the end, they got the benediction from Narada, after begging forgiveness, that they would get bodies of trees, but those trees would be in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, and he would be able to see, they would be able to see Krishna face to face. So, when Krishna was just about to pull, these trees down with a grinding mortar, when he was tied to it by Mother Yashoda, before he pulled the trees down, he thought and he said, Narada Muni said that I have to deliver these two, so I have to do it. So this is the greatest glory of the Lord, that he feels subordinate to the will of the devotees, the pure devotees, the fully pure devotees. And because we have had the great fortune of meeting such a pure devotee in the person of Srila Prabhupada, who is our founder Acharya, and therefore all of our Shiksha Guru, the Shiksha Guru of all of us. And he promised us, if we follow these regulated principles for the rest of our lives without deviation, and chant at least 16 rounds and try to avoid offenses, then we will go back to God in this lifetime. So someone may think, how is that possible? We're so fallen. But it's because of this. It's because Srila Prabhupada promised. And Krishna, he's so dear to Krishna, that Krishna feels obliged to fulfill the promise of his devotee, such a pure devotee. So therefore we should never feel hopeless. And even late beginners, even if in the beginning we do have problems following the principles, if we become fixed in following the principles in this life, and fixed in our rounds at least, and maybe perhaps more than 16 rounds, and trying to avoid offenses, we will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. And therefore we should be free from fear and free from unhappiness. Hare Krishna.
This is from Subbarao Rajagopal.
Yes, Subbarao.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you for your Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, and also keeping us on the track of Shravanam.
Hare Krishna.
I am amazed by the power of Kashyapa Muni's forewarning about his own sons, foretelling the great qualities of his grandson Prahlad Maharaj. He attributes these to the untimeliness of pregnancy and Diti's unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and her adoration for Lord Shiva. Munis in those days can predict the heralding of the fortune and misfortune, power of devotion to Lord.
Yes. And what is also true is that if we become very serious students and hearers of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we also get that trikalagya to a certain extent by what we know happened and is happening and will happen in the future. Because the Bhagavatam is the history of the universe. That is the mercy of Lord Krishna, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We don't have to become great mystic yogis like in the beginning of the universe. We just have to submit ourselves and surrender to the Bhagavatam, and we can get that knowledge according to our capacity. Hare Krishna.
And from Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
Today I was out on the street speaking a message to a friend on the phone when I heard a squeaking sound. I looked up and it was an old woman without legs in a wheelchair. I immediately thought, how can I benefit her? I have no books and no prasadam. So I talked with her, asking if she could speak Dutch. She looked at me with a vague look in her eyes as I repeated my question. Then she said in Dutch, "I have no destination," and she wheeled on. I realized that I had a mantra card and went after her. She stopped as I read the Maha Mantra to her and gave her the card. She looked at it intently and even spoke some of the holy names. She said, "Hare Krishna." Very nice. And then she insisted on giving me back the card. She wheeled away, and I was left behind, in awe of what just happened. It is amazing how Krishna sends all kinds of souls to us at any time.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And that's due to your heart, Rati Manjari. That's a fact. Hare Krishna. The goodness of your heart. Krishna responds and fulfills your desire to help others. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama.
Rati Manjari.
Yes, Rati.
She says, "Just kicking my pebble, Guru Maharaj, trying to please you."
Hare Krishna. Well, you're doing a bang-up job of it, I'll tell you that right now. Hare Krishna. Doing fantastic.
Paying forward my good fortune.
Hare Krishna. Okay, as usual, your reflections and especially your deep appreciation for the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and what we're doing to bring it to as many people as we can is deeply appreciated. And we thank you all so much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same topic. Wait, something else has come through. Abhaya is...
Well, there's a comment from Ananda Murthy, but it didn't show up on here. It came on the screen.
I see.
She says...
Ananda Murthy has added a comment.
Maybe she had something else. She said, "I think my comments are not reached there." I don't see them anywhere.
Anyway, somehow or other the comments didn't come through, Ananda Murthy. Don't stop. Your comments are very, very wonderful. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same time, same place, same topics, as we hear the expanding history of the appearance of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu and the effect it had on the earth planet. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.